As the House keeps busy with rescission bills, the Senate continues to work on the reconciliation bill, the one big, beautiful bill. Senate Republicans huddled yesterday to address key portions of the bill and emerged with intentions of making some changes, which was with the Speaker yesterday, making him a little nervous because he wants to get this thing through and onto the President's desk. Well, according to reports, some of those changes touch on more contentious areas of the House bill. What sort of changes does the Senate want to make? Well, here to discuss this and more, U.S. Senator John Cornyn of Texas. He serves on 5 Senate committees, including the Finance and Budget committees and part of the Senate leadership. Senator Cornyn, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
You bet, Tony. Great to be with you.
All right, tell us what are some of the concerns? I know the state and local tax cap that for mainly affecting blue states, that seems to be a problem with some of the Senate Republicans. What else are we looking at?
Well, I know the Speaker has a challenge getting enough votes to pass the bill, but this is an awful expensive item, over $300 billion to basically get the votes of 4 House members in the Northeast. But what that means is that people from Texas and Louisiana and other states that don't have an income tax have to subsidize these high tax jurisdictions and allow people to write that off of their individual tax return. So that's one of the issues. But as you know, we're trying to prevent a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase. We're trying to accommodate the president's campaign promises and our promises about the border and about the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on Social Security and overtime. But we also are trying to figure ways to save some money because we are now over $36 trillion in debt. We're paying more money on interest on the national debt than we are on defense, which is unsustainable. So we're looking for additional savings in the Senate, in addition to those other items.
You know, that's a little different. Usually, it's not the Senate that's looking to trim, but as you pointed out, the House Speaker has a very broad caucus of Republicans that he's trying to work with. This is a step in the right direction. I think he himself has admitted this is not a perfect bill. It's not what he would have drafted if he's working on his own. What do you see ultimately coming out when the Senate finishes this bill? Do you think it's going to be something that can make it through the House?
I do. I don't think we have any option, Tony, and certainly President Trump knows how important this is. He is somebody who believes strongly in keeping his promises to the American people. And when he won the election on November the 5th, the 2 areas that he was focused most on were inflation caused by excessive government spending and the border, which, as you know, was on fire. And thankfully, with a new president and his commitment to enforcing the law, the border is in far better shape. But Tom Homan, the head of the border czar, has said he needs more money for beds and for detention facilities and also for personnel to deal with all of the deportations that are occurring in places like Los Angeles and around the country.
So I would think that what's happening right now in real time in Los Angeles would probably, I would think, would underscore to the Senate the urgency of moving sooner rather than later. That's
right. That's right. Well, Tom Homan was with us yesterday briefly at a meeting, and that was his message. Stephen Miller, the Deputy Chief of Staff, was with us today, again, underscoring the importance of getting this money to enforce the immigration laws of the country and to secure the border, and we don't have any time to waste.
Let me talk about another issue. It's related to the reconciliation bill. It's something we worked on on the House side, and that was to make sure that no taxpayers are forced to fund these experimental uses of drugs and surgeries for those children who are suffering from gender dysphoria. We're talking about these transgender surgeries. That is in the reconciliation bill, but you and Senator Langford of Oklahoma have joined together and have introduced legislation to stop government funding of this as well. Talk about that.
That's right. That's right. Primarily under Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program. Fortunately, nearly 30 states have policies that limit access to gender transition procedures, including Texas. But increasingly, there's a recognition that this is a form of child abuse, especially when young, immature children are subjected to either this mutilating surgery or to some of these puberty blockers and drugs. Those were, in some instances, irreversible decisions which they will carry with them the rest of their life. And so Senator Langford and I are determined to make sure that neither the federal funds available in Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program are available for that purpose.
So I assume you're going to fight to make sure that stays in the reconciliation bill as well.
Absolutely.
A final question for you. I know you got to go, Senator. Will the Senate make the deadline of the July 4th weekend to get this bill to President Trump?
Well, you know, Tony, the Senate operates best when we have a deadline. Otherwise, we just keep talking and things never seem to come to a conclusion. So we're going to do our best to meet that deadline. And then, of course, then it's going to be up to the House to be able to pass the bill. And I suspect President Trump will be right there urging them on and helping the Speaker get the votes to get it done, because failure is not an option.
Senator John Cornyn, thanks so much for joining us today. Always great to talk with you.
Thank you, Tony.